Hello, Tadeo.
Nania.
We have so many great questions from our viewers.
All right.
Okay, and the first one has to do with the handout. What happens if we do a misstep on one of these steps? Like if we look into a conspiracy theory or get into some religious spiritual argument with someone. If we notice it, learn from how it feels and adjust, are we back on track, so to speak? Is there anything more we need to do if that happens?
No. If you learn from it, then if you go back into the instruction in the way it was delivered, then you are back on track. So learn a lesson, learn why you may have desired to engage in that way, and then get back into the vibrational state as encouraged by the step. And realize that it's not necessary to venture that way again. Unless you do, then again, learn from it, learn why you chose to go in that direction. This can be used, like a lot of other things, to determine what your belief systems are and why you choose to do what you do. So if you use it that way, then you are learning, you are growing. But again, the idea is to realize that there is no need to do it, and that following the instruction more precisely will be to your advantage in creating the vibrational frequency that will bring you into alignment with contact and the interstellar alliance, if that is what you prefer.
Okay. And in step one, you said not to engage in discussions about conspiracy theories in general. Given that the UFO cover-up has been considered as conspiracy theory, but is an actual conspiracy, would engaging in conversation about it be considered going against the rule of step one?
No, because it is beyond theory at this point. There are too many witnesses, too many sources, too many verifications from many different people. And therefore, it is out of the category of theory. So you can research, you can discuss. It has been suppressed and covered up. At this point, it is relatively obvious that there is enough research, enough validation from so many different sources of different types that you can consider it to be something that is real.
And does watching videos or stories about true or not true conspiracy theories and stories go against the interstellar experiment? What I mean is, I enjoy watching these forms of entertainment without being emotionally affected.
If it is research, if you can remain neutral in observing all of the input from those particular presentations, then it is research. But the idea is to allow yourself to pay attention to whether you are becoming caught up in it once again, if you ever were, and to remain neutral in the observation of those things so that you don't necessarily develop a strong opinion in one direction or another about what is true about them or not. If it is too challenging for you to not form an opinion, to not have strong perspectives on what it is you are watching, what it is you are absorbing, then again, it would be best for now to back off and remain neutral and maybe not absorb as much of the information. But if you can remain completely neutral, completely objective, and allow it all to simply be information for the purpose of research, then it is fine. But you have to pay attention honestly as to whether that's what you're doing or not.
Okay, and because you will be discussing in step 3 writing letters to specific individual officials around the globe regarding disclosure of UFO contact, and in doing so, providing specific wording for us to use, I would appreciate if you could also give us instructions for non-native speakers of English. Is it okay to translate the wording you provided into our own native language and use it in whatever ways you may suggest? And is it okay to share what I have translated with the people of my own country who would also like to join the social experiment so they can also send letters to specific individuals?
Yes, that is fine. However, one suggestion we would have would be don't necessarily rely on your own translation unless you are a professional interpreter, a professional translator who is absolutely certain that your translation is accurate in terms of the intention and meaning behind the words that are delivered in English. So you can translate it into different languages, but for those who are not proficient at the translation, then we would suggest that you find someone who is and ask them if the translation, or ask them to translate it in a way that captures fully the exact meaning of the original language. So if you can do that and you can know that it is accurately representative, then that is fine.
And also, one question that came up, some individuals may feel anxiety about being perceived as some sort of target or part of some conspiracy or something in their land. And what are some suggestions for dealing with anxiety about, in a sense, sticking out or making yourself, I guess you'd say, a target or something like that?
Well, this simply goes back to some of the original ideas we have discussed for many years. You have to examine your belief system and find out why you are perceiving this in a fear-based or negative way. If the idea is too challenging for you, then as we have said, it's up to you to decide not to be a part of the social experiment. As the word implies, it is a social experiment, which means it requires interaction with society. So if you find that too challenging and are unable to let go of any fear-based or negative beliefs you have surrounding your participation in this social experiment, then don't participate. Otherwise, get in touch with your belief systems as to why you believe that it would be a negative thing to move forward in this way, and learn to let them go. Learn to let those beliefs go. Learn to transform them into something more positive so that you can be coming from your self-empowerment, your indestructible core. But again, as always, it is up to you to decide whether this is something that you are capable of participating in or not.
And also the idea of, I guess, thousands of letters going out all over the planet. What do you anticipate would be the reaction from administrative levels of our planet to that kind of thing, onslaught happening?
One particular reaction would be that they understand that there is organization to these thoughts, that there is unification to these thoughts, that there is similarity beyond borders, beyond cultures. This is something that can awaken them to realize that this is an important issue to look at, an important issue to address. Beyond that, there is no insistence or expectation, but we know that that recognition will occur in many individuals when they see a massive amount of individuals, regardless of country, regardless of background, regardless of other belief systems, unified in the idea of requesting the release of this information.
Okay. And when you talk about the hybridization agenda by the Greys, it sounds like humanity agreed to it in some higher level, that the Earth becoming the sixth hybrid race is a part of that agenda, and this has already been decided. If humanity on a conscious level became aware of this as a fact, it would have been looked at as a silent covert invasion and not something positive or beneficial. I suppose this is why it is being carried out in secret from the majority of the population. How would you explain this conundrum? Is the slow drip disclosure a part of making the general population accustomed to the idea? Would not carrying out this agenda result in humanity going the path of the negative timeline the Greys experienced? And
No.
without white lies, how would you explain it if you had an opportunity to have a transmission that the entire Earth could hear?
Again, the idea is that understanding your connection to your galactic family, awakening to your true potential, awakening to the agreements that you have made for the evolution of humanity would do exactly the opposite of allowing you to go down the negative path that the Greys took. It would allow you more opportunity to choose the path that you prefer in a positive way. The idea of secrecy is, as you say, euphemistically, a kind of drip system that allows humanity to get used to the idea, but it is also what gives humanity the time to awaken and remember that they made this agreement so that it doesn't feel forced, so that it doesn't feel like an invasion, as you say, so that you can take responsibility for the part you are playing in having made an agreement from a higher level to aid and assist in the evolution of humanity in this format, in this way. And it is the acceptance of this responsibility and the awakening to the memory of the choice that you made as a collective that would allow you to be able to choose a more positive path and not go down the path that the Greys took in their reality.
And so the idea of this being a timeline for humanity, it's just one timeline. So of course there will be those individuals who would not want to participate in this direction for humanity.
Yes, and they will have their own reality. They will move on and proceed as if this didn't happen. There are many versions of Earth and many different scenarios that you can navigate to that will fit what you prefer based on the belief system you hold to be true.
So someone who's highly focused on the Earth and ecological issues and wanting the planet to become more and more beautiful and not with conflict, a peaceful, wonderful place, heaven on earth, so to speak. They can have that experience without becoming part of the hybridization timeline. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, of course. Again, there is a kind of mass consensus in large part with humanity to have agreed to the idea of aligning with open contact and aligning with the idea of the hybridization program, aligning with the vibration of the Interstellar Alliance. Obviously, what we are suggesting in these steps are the steps that are necessary to align with that particular Earth reality for those who have chosen it. But yes, of course, there is always the availability of other versions of parallel realities, parallel versions of Earth that don't necessarily include what it is that we are suggesting in these steps. And that is why we tell you it's up to you to decide to participate or not, so that you can feel it out for yourselves as to what kind of reality you have chosen to prefer, you have chosen to be a part of, what group you have chosen to navigate to different Earths with. However, the vast majority of individuals who are exploring the idea of the expansion of consciousness on your planet at this time, again, not that all of them have to have chosen this, but the vast majority, as we perceive it, of those who are exploring the expansion of consciousness have agreed to participate in this particular form of humanity's evolution. And those are the ones we are speaking to. And only those.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
This person is asking, if I experience a situation that I don't like and I don't have the time or opportunity to immediately explore the beliefs that led to this situation, What would you recommend as a permission slip or a tool to learn a routine to switch realities faster? What can I immediately do in my mind to become more aware and learn the habit of perceiving this reality as not preferred by me and switching to a reality that I do prefer?
All right. Let's go back to the first sentence in that question. Read it again and then stop.
If I experience a situation that I don't like and I don't have the time or opportunity to
Stop. This is avoidance of looking at your belief system. Make the time. Make the opportunity. You are not making the time to look at your belief systems. You're not creating an opportunity within your schedule. Keeping so busy that you can't do that is an avoidance mechanism. Because if you start relaxing into yourself and not be in such a hurry to be busy with everything that prevents you from having the time, then you are avoiding the issue of looking at the beliefs, and that's what you need to do in order to change the beliefs in a way that would allow you to experience more of what you prefer. So you have to stop avoiding doing the process of examining your beliefs to let go of the ones that don't work for you. Make the time, create the opportunity. That's the most important thing you could do when that issue comes up of a belief or a situation or a reflection that you don't prefer. So you have to incorporate the ability into your schedule of having the time to do that. Otherwise, again, you're not following the formula. You're not allowing yourself to have the opportunity to look at those things for one reason or another. That's usually fear-based. So take the time. There's nothing to be afraid of in having the time to examine those things. You're not going to miss anything else. You can allow synchronicity to be the organizing principle that will allow you to accomplish what you need to accomplish without assuming that you have to be so busy that you cannot look within yourself or take the time to do so.
Thank you.
Yes.
How can we find grounding in a reality we don't believe in? Despite being unified in oneness and having visitors showing me multiple amazing tools daily, everything here still feels like part of the collective, but ultimately meaningless. I'm completely abandoning the 3D. How do we engage with this tangible reality that feels more like a waiting room? Additionally, how will things transform following the arrival of your people?
This goes back to what we have said. Get engaged. Get engaged in service in some way, shape, or form to humanity. Then it won't feel like a waiting room. If you're waiting around, then you are misunderstanding the whole point of why you chose to be here in physical reality and have this experience. So stop waiting, start doing, start engaging, start being of service in some way, shape, or form, start helping. Now, again, the idea is whatever people do with the help you share is their business and not yours. But you have to do the act. You have to take the action that is necessary for you to represent what kind of a world you prefer to live in. Because if you did live in that world, you would be doing the things that we're talking about. You would be engaging. You would be being of service. You would be taking action in those ways. So the idea is not to abandon what you call 3D. The idea is to remember that you chose to be having this experience, and you need to remember why. And it was for the purpose of aiding and assisting in the evolution of humanity by being of service in positive ways, so you can function as a living example of what other people can also choose for themselves should they decide to do so. So stop sitting on the sidelines and get engaged.
Thank you. Is the human mind capable of
One moment.
nonlinear?
One moment. Individuals listening to this transmission may notice a little bit of a difference in the energy that we are putting out in these answers. We are encouraging more strongly the idea of taking action, of really taking action on these steps and all of the things that we are discussing that are involved in the questions that come up about these steps. because we are underscoring and underlining the importance now of actually acting on the steps that are necessary for you to really bring about the vibrational frequency, if you so desire it, of open contact and alignment with the interstellar alliance. So, you will feel this energy being a little bit more, a little bit stronger in terms of encouraging you and urging you to take these steps. It doesn't mean you are being forced to do anything. It means that we are now not holding back in transmitting to you the energy frequency of commitment to the idea of taking steps, of being aware enough, being responsible enough, being bold enough to stand your ground, be yourself, and actually take the physical actions and steps necessary to demonstrate what you have long said you are committed to demonstrating. It's not about sitting on the sidelines anymore. If you're really going to follow along in these steps and take the actions necessary for open contact, what we're doing by changing our frequency here is we are making this more physically real for you and underscoring how real the physical actions need to be, how necessary they are for you to really align with this vibration and let go of all the things that are not of the frequency of open contact and alignment with the interstellar alliance. So take no offense at what you may perceive as a more intensified delivery of this information. It's still up to you and still in your hands. You are free to choose with your free will whether to participate and to what degree to participate in these steps. But that doesn't mean we're going to hold back in underscoring how important it is to really stand your ground and actually take the physical actions necessary to demonstrate the commitment to understanding how the formula works. Because now it's time to walk your talk. So, please go on to the next question.
Yes. Is the human mind capable of nonlinear thinking?
Yes, but it has to be in balance with linear thinking as long as you are deciding to have a physical experience. So yes, you can think nonlinearly, multidimensionally, simultaneously, with incorporating that knowledge and awareness into the idea of whatever is necessary as a linear expression of it in your physical reality, so it will be applicable to your physical lives. So you can do both. You can balance it out.
And is reading always better than watching educational digital content?
No, it's up to you as to how to absorb information. But it depends upon how you do that, how you absorb that. For some people, reading may be easier for them to absorb the information. For others, it may be more the digital content. It still all comes back down to what we have said about the idea of story structure being built into your psyche. So if the digital content and the books that you're reading are all structured in a way to deliver the information according to the harmonic points of story structure, then you will absorb the information. So it's not so much about the medium, it's about the way the information is delivered that makes the difference in how you retain it, how you absorb it, and how you apply it from that point forward.
Okay. And this person wants to know, how can I maintain a steady flow of income without repeatedly finding myself struggling to pay rent after indulging in purchases that excite me?
Well, you have to pay attention as to whether indulging in those purchases is actually representative of excitement or anxiety. So you have to have more deep and honest self-investigation to be able to tell the difference between anxiety and excitement. Because if you feel that you are, as you say, strapping yourself in some way, shape, or form by spending more than you have, then that may be an indication not so much of the belief that you will attract what you need, but the idea that there is a sense of lack within you. So you have to pay attention to why you are doing what you are doing, for what reasons are you spending the money that you're spending? At the same time, again, please do remember that we have discussed that there are different forms of abundance, and allowing all of them to be equal, not just having money stand out as to be the only way things can be done, but all of them being equal to one another, then you can relax the idea of what it is you may think you need at any given moment. That will then allow that to synchronistically come into your life in whatever form the abundance needs to be there to allow you to continue to act on your passion. But again, fundamentally, you have to really examine whether you are purchasing the things you are purchasing because they are truly representative of your excitement, that you truly need them in your life, or whether you are just making an assumption based on anxiety and disguising it as excitement so you don't have to pay attention to the real reason you may be purchasing those things. So just be honest with yourself in your self-examination.
Okay, and this next question is, can you please give some examples of what limiting beliefs a person may hold that is causing them to hold excess fat on their body?
Well, this goes back, now again, not the only reason, but this goes back to one of the typical euphemisms that your language provides, in the fact that you may be, quote unquote, waiting around to do what it is you need to be doing, that you're not flowing your energy outward in giving gifts, in sharing things, in doing what you're passionate about, in being of service to humanity, and therefore the energy builds up because it's not got anywhere to go, and it turns into matter, because energy, matter are different sides of the same thing. So when you are waiting to do what it is you need to be doing to express yourself fully, to follow your passion fully, then that can turn into mass and add weight to your system physically.
And how might that apply to people as they age? Not that all people gain weight, but seems like a large percentage of the population gains weight as they get older.
Well, again, many individuals in your population have been waiting for a long time to do what it is they are truly passionate about doing, to be their true selves. And the longer they wait, the more weight they may gain, because the idea of aging starts to imply in their belief system that it now may be too late for them to actually take those actions, and therefore that adds more weighting, and therefore that adds more weight.